So I am going to start recording for this video for this demo project that I have called MHGen, and this is a maternal health conversational data generator. By that I mean it's a system that generates conversational data sets that are based around maternal health cases. I have it set so that I use ChatGPT to assume the role of both the patient and the provider. The provider and the patients can be from different backgrounds, and the providers can be of different professions. So that's like the high level design of it. I figured that this was an important project since there's not a lot of maternal health data out there, which I found out through one of my earlier projects. I know this isn't exactly a silver bullet to this problem, but yeah, that is the high level idea of this. I built this project today. It is currently about 5:30 in the morning, but I figured it would be decent to, fun to make a video. I like doing demo videos, so filming is out of order, so I decided to do like the presentation part at the end. So I made like a 4-slideshow on this, so it won't be a long presentation, but I did record me doing the prompt engineering or vibe coding, whatever you want to call it, to build this project. Right now I'm testing it out in a different window. Anyway, I'll go into the problem. Alright, so the reason why I decided to work on this project is that there's a problem with a lack of maternal health data. It's actually a major problem with the lack of data around women's health in general. Some major problems. I think that they didn't even really start like testing drugs on women until like the 80s or something. I forget what fact I found out that was kind of disturbing when I was doing research on the Women's Advancement Neural Network, which was another whole project that I tried to do that was also related to maternal health and women's health. Anyway, I figured that I shouldn't just use synthetic data generation to make a robotic frog AI companion that I can talk shit to. I actually would rather address a critical problem with this, or at least try to. The role of machine learning in medicine is something that's very interesting to me, and I think that the role of these different conversational agents could be very helpful in, or these LLMs could be very helpful in data generation if used the right way. And I apologize for the bad presentation style. I'm kind of just doing this on the fly. I didn't really plan this out or write a script. But anyway, I have been working on an AI companion project. Its name is Duncan. And that project, for an extension of that project, I had to do some synthetic data generation to fine-tune an LLM. And that made me think about how LLMs are really reliant on data. Alright, I just decided that I'm going to generate 200 conversations right now. And I'm going to upload that to my Hugging Face repo. So anybody can use that data set if they choose to. That'll be my little gift for the open source community today, in case anybody decides to start developing LLMs for like doula purposes or something. I don't know. You never know what somebody can use an open source data set for. I've learned that through my recent work on my simulation. But anyway, back to the problem. So this project proposes an intermediate solution to the lack of women's health data, and that is synthetic data generation through AI, like I've explained before. So what I do is I prompt an OpenAI, or I prompt ChatGPT to roleplay as two different people, the patient and the provider, and the provider and patient have different demographics, so the AI knows to roleplay as different things. And that generates the synthetic data set. Conversational data is actually, like in general, is actually very lacking in the medical community, especially open source data sets for training LLMs, so that's part of the reason I also decided to address this. Probably should include that in the problem section, but I figured I'd bring it up now. So my intermediate solution is to basically generate synthetic data. Eventually, I think a better way to do this would be able to like anonymize data that's collected from real people. But I obviously don't have access to do that right now, and probably isn't in my plans. And I just want to do this over a couple hours. So, okay. I really hope I was on the right window earlier when I was doing all that prompting. That'd be annoying if I didn't. But anyway, this is the code base. It's relatively simple. Right now it's generating some synthetic data, so it takes a while. The conversations are all LLM driven. They're not like rule based really, other than some basic like demographic information. And I have generated a smaller data set. This is on 30 out of 200 right now. I hope I don't run out of API tokens before the data generation process is done. This is gonna maybe be one of the last free, not free data sets, but you know, one of the last times I do this randomly. This was kind of gonna be expensive. But yeah, here's one of the dummy data sets, or the base data set that I generated. I'm gonna name this. So this is an example of the data that it generates. It generates data in JSON format, but you can specify the type of format that you would like to generate. You can specify some other different config terminology as well. So each like turn of the conversation, it divides the data into conversations, and then it has a turn number, the speaker, the content, the turn type, the emotional tone, and the empathy, and provides clear information. I don't know how it's determining that. It looks like it's always false. Oh no, never mind. So I'm not sure if that'll be a super relevant. I didn't really want it to have the show empathy thing, but since this was a vibe coding project, I can't really help it, and I guess that might be relevant for some people. This isn't only meant for training LLMs, it's also meant for educational purposes. You could also, I guess the like, does it show empathy? That could teach the AI like sentiment analysis and stuff like that. So, but I'm just scrolling through this because I'm examining this for kind of the first time too, as I record this. But yeah, this is the data set that it generates. I'm currently on 40 out of 200 of the new data set, so I'm going to upload that to the Hugging Face repo. I had a little slide for like the high level system design, but basically it just makes ChatGPT roleplay as the provider and the maternal health patient, the pregnant woman, and the doctor or doula or nurse or etc. And they have this long form conversation, and that is going to be what's uploaded and potentially used for the training of like other LLMs. So that's the high level idea. I built this using Cursor. I have the prompt. I could provide the prompt to anybody, but I have the repo as well. So I guess all I'm going to do now is update the README. If you're interested in checking out this video, this repo, link it in the description. Thank you for joining, and I hope someone finds this data useful one day, or this process. So this is the synthetic data generation process that I think I'm going to run with if I ever need to generate really abstract LLMs or data sets. Before I end the video, I would like to talk about the limitations of this project. So the quality of the data depends on the prompt engineering skills of the user of the repo. So by that I mean that if you like, I made it so that you can edit the prompts. All you have to do is have an API key and download a virtual environment and install the requirements and things like that. But yeah, you can modify the prompts, but that could modify the output of the data. I haven't extensively reviewed the data that's getting outputted. I'll update the prompts a little bit later, but I was just trying to do like a rush little hackathon session myself tonight, just to stretch the old brain. And yeah, another limitation that I would like to mention is that the results will vary depending on the training data that the LLM that was used for the data generation process. So if you're familiar with how the large language models, the commercial ones, are trained, like ChatGPT, they go through a pre-training process before their quote-unquote fine-tuning process, which is further training, and that is more expensive and ingrains like hard biases into the models. So that is something that wouldn't be able to be addressed. But I've heard from some articles that ChatGPT can actually be used. It's pretty good at like role-playing and even at answering medical questions. Some doctors are legitimately using it for that. So maybe this is like not the dumbest use case. Other limitations, let me think. It's a little slow, and it requires API access. So none of this data is private. And I planned on using this for open source purposes anyway, so that doesn't really matter to me. Okay, before I finish recording the video, I thought I would just talk a little bit more about the vibe coding workflow that I had for this project. I have a little slide that I'll put up after this, but basically how it happened is I was thinking about the Duncan idea and how I haven't used LLMs wisely necessarily. I've been kind of using them as toys in my project, but really just to familiarize myself with how they work and how to work with them. So I got a little high after that, and I was like, oh man, how can I do something useful tonight? And I decided to do this. I crafted a prompt in Cursor. I ran some test trials on the code that Cursor generated. I noticed that the code that it generated was generating like conversations that didn't vary at all, so it was following a rules-based system. And then I debugged with Cursor to make it the text generation more LLM based. And then I inspected and debugged after that I debugged it, I generated another small test data set of about 10 samples, 10 conversations, and then I uploaded the data set and the code repository, or I will do that, to GitHub and Hugging Face for open source usage. So that is the project workflow for this. I will put up a slide in a second.